All right, welcome everybody. We are live, so folks are starting to trickle in here, and this is our first time doing this on StreamYards. We've already got a good amount of people here joining us, almost 50 that are live. We had around 400 people sign up for this, so it'll be interesting to see how many people attend live. So those of you who are attending live, you are in the right spot because you get to ask your questions live to this expert panel. So I'm just kind of curious. John, what do you think would be a good question to ask that we can get a quick answer? Like, what is their favorite AI tool, maybe? Or
yeah, well, what is the AI that you use? What's your go-to AI that you use daily that you
all
couldn't?
right, that's a good way to phrase it. All right, so I like John's phrasing. What is your AI go-to tool or your go-to tool for AI, or however you want to say that? That's probably more grammatically correct than what I just said. Drop that into the chat. So you should see on your screen somewhere where it says post a comment. This is our first time using StreamYard for webinars. So you should see it. All right, so we're starting to get people coming in. John said post a duck if you love CTR.
That's a goose. That's a goose.
A goose. Sorry, a goose.
It's a silly goose.
All right. Faisal says Gemini Pro, Banana Pro. Ricardo says Rufus. That's an interesting one.
Kick him out. Kick him out. Rufus, get out of here.
We've got McWilliams Stores says Gemini. Who else has a go-to tool? Whether it's ChatGPT. There we go. Lors says ChatGPT and Claude.
Let's go Claude. Claude representation right there.
All right. So we definitely have a Claude fan here, especially with Noah.
Who told Noah about Claude?
Nobody.
John taking credit for everything. Wasim says Gemini. Laura says ChatGPT, of course. We've got Maxim says GPT 5.1 thinking research mode only. So that'd be ChatGPT. AM says ChatGPT. Alfred says ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity. Oh, Perplexity is on the board now.
Perplexity is a big one. Perplexity is going to be a Google search killer.
It could be. It could be. Or Google could be their own Google search killer with Gemini. Travis R says nobody is going to say. Oh, no, someone did say. Someone beat you to the punch there, Travis.
Spoke too soon, Travis.
All right. So we got quite a few people gave us their suggestions of what they think their go-to.
Oh, my God. Someone said I use Amazon Creative Studio for all my AI stuff. Man, you're going to get blown away on this one because that's.
We all are entitled to our opinions, John. We didn't say what is safe in the Aspinall framework of thinking.
You know what you're getting. You invite John Aspinall on a podcast. You know what you're getting, sir.
It's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. All right. So thank you to everyone who participated. If you would like to get a little bit of a participation bonus, all you got to do is email podcast, PODCASCT, podcast singular. I had to think about the spelling of podcast there for a second. Podcast at myamazonguy.com. We'll give you a free $100 mag school course just for participating. So that was for everybody who just participated. If you didn't participate, maybe we'll do another participation trophy between now and the end. So regardless of whether or not John agreed with your statements, we're going to include that. So let me go ahead and include that as part of how you were eligible, I should say. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll go ahead and get this party started. So today we're going to be talking about how you can use AI for Amazon to really take your whole business to the whole new level and not get stuck on shiny object syndrome, because that's probably a thing that we can probably deal with. In fact, I'm just curious for folks watching this, do you sometimes feel like AI is a lot of hype? Like, oh my God, this new model of Gemini just destroyed ChatGPT. This new ChatGPT just destroyed Google or something. I feel like I hear that all the time. So we're going to talk from a more practical standpoint. So today you're going to learn some AI systems and strategies to better improve your listings, to scale your PPC's performance, and to save you hours of time. And we're going to do this with an asterisk. And that asterisk is without wasting your time on shiny objects that don't actually work. We want to focus your time on what is going to actually help you. So we do have an expert panel here today. And before I get into introducing our expert panel, I just want to make sure everyone is familiar with My Amazon Guy. We're the company that's putting this together. My Amazon Guy, we like to say we're the agency that gets your products seen and sold. In addition to that, we like to say that we are an education company that happens to be an agency. And we have a few numbers we like to kind of brag about. So we do about $1.2 billion with a B in sales on Amazon, about $6 billion total since the company was founded in 2018. And we manage about 400 brands, and we've got about 500 employees. So what that allows us to say comfortably is we see what works and what doesn't, because we're constantly testing it. And that's both with AI and without AI. So we do see what works with AI and what works or what you should avoid, I should say, with AI. So let's now get into our expert panel. So first off, I'm excited to bring in Elizabeth Green. Elizabeth, if you don't mind introducing yourself real quick.
Yeah. So, hey, my name is Elizabeth Green. I'm co-founder of Amazon ads agency, Jungler. We've been managing ads 6 or 7 years at this point across a wide variety of categories. Some of the most notable crazy stuff like supplements, and also really large complex catalogs like clothing. So we're all about incremental strategies based on individual category as well as brand needs.
Awesome. And super excited to have you here, Elizabeth. So John, CEO and founder of Aspie, if you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, John Aspinall, CEO, founder of Aspie, merchandising consulting agency. Also do Ecom Ghost, which is a ghostwriting LinkedIn agency. Also chief evangelist at Trellis. I do a lot of things, and everyone here knows I talk about CTR, hero optimization, merchandising, all that sort of fun stuff. And yeah, I like to help people move the needle without having to spend more money on ads. Sorry, Liz. Sorry.
I love it.
You're good.
All right. And then Noah here from My Amazon Guy.
Yeah, it's still such a goofy image of me.
We can swap it out to a different one if you want.
Dude, where'd your legs go?
I don't know, man. Just don't even ask about it. But how's it going, everybody? I am Noah. I'm the VP of Sales Marketing here at My Amazon Guy. I'm also just a guy that knows a lot about Amazon, been around for a while, have worked with a ton of different clients on a consultative basis, used to be on our operations side, and have written tons of the SOPs that we still use to this day on client accounts. And so I also happen to, I guess, love AI and its use cases, and talk to John Aspinall here about it near daily. So hopefully we have some tidbits that will be useful for you guys today.
I'm
He's
pretty
not-
confident we will.
He's not lying. I talk to Noah all the time.
A little
Yes.
too much.
But that's
Well,
all
now it's not going to be all the time. Keep that attitude up.
good. All right. So anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes here. So our expert panel is going to share some of their best tips for AI. So I'm excited that I'm going to start with Elizabeth, just because she's got the nicest sign there in the background with the lighting the letter.
Gotta represent with the branding. Yeah.
Awesome. So Elizabeth, if you could share your best AI tip, I'm gonna go ahead and match
Yeah.
numbers here.
So John's probably gonna poo-poo it, and it's fine. I'm still an OG. There are certain advantages to ChatGPT right now that I think are not utilized as much as they could be, and that is one. Some people might have dabbled in custom AIs or custom GPTs. The advantage there now, Gemini does have the ability to create gems. John's probably going to talk about that, or he can talk about it. I know he's created some amazing ones. For whatever reason, the way my brain works, I find Gemini gems to be notoriously difficult. I think it's just the way I use my workflow, and I have found that ChatGPT is the most versatile. So where we actually use ChatGPT, custom GPTs in our agency, or just myself personally, is I find they work best when you have a specific process that you find that you repeat often that requires some level of creativity in it, meaning like you can't just like, hey, upload this into a specific spreadsheet. Although I think there is a use case for that because in sometimes like spreadsheet columns change. So their GPT is helpful. An example would be like, let's say you often do Ngram analysis. And so with that, that's looking at all the different search terms and bucketing them and determining, are there certain root words that work well for these products that don't work well for these products, et cetera, et cetera. Where you can create, and we have a custom GPT where you can combine, you can actually combine data sets. So 2 different reports, like a search term report, but then also be able to look at an advertised product report to say, okay, not only which of these search terms work better, but also one, create a combined report for me. So add in the ASINs that are being advertised for this one keyword target and then the search term, and then perform an analysis for me for every single one of these products. So I'm not just looking at, okay, my search term report in total, which is helpful when I have one product, but if I have multiple products, and that's like a multi-step system that could be put into an evaluation, but there's 2 things. So one, that just creates time, right? You still got to download the reports, but then you got to put them into a tool and you got to do some data cleaning and combinations. And there you can have the GPT just like combine those data sets for you quite easily. And then you can also have it switch over into the analysis mode. And that's where I found, at least in my limited testing of trying to do gems, I found that Gemini, as of right now, sorry, John, I know you tried to turn me onto it, but it has a really difficult time switching from data analysis to creativity, where I find that with ChatGPT, as long as you help it understand the sequence, it's pretty much seamless. And I think the best workflow, and honestly the easiest one when it comes to programming GPTs, is simply to have one text chat open with ChatGPT, and you basically use ChatGPT to program ChatGPT. So you say like, hey, this is what I want to happen, and kind of do it step by step, and then you copy, hey, these were the results, this is what I wanted to happen, this is what happened, I need you to rewrite all of the instructions. It will rewrite instructions, you plug it in, and with that workflow, and then you have, what I have found is, if you're using AI to say augment your team workflow or maybe your own workflow, you want to identify these specific tasks that take a long time that maybe involve some level of data analytics as well as some sort of creativity. So again, understanding the root words, what's working, what's not working, are there any insights we can glean from that has a level of creativity to it, but it is a specific and defined thing that you already have some, or should have some, area of expertise around, because with any AI, it can potentially hallucinate. It can tell you things that are incorrect. So if there's something that you do repeatably, and then you can take this asset and you can hand it to the team. So let's say that there are a specific, I'm out of my depth here because I'm typically talking advertising, but like a case report that you guys often answer, or a specific set of customer requests that you answer often, but you want to be able to give it to somebody. Again, you can have your copy and paste templates, but if those don't really work and you need some level of nuance to it, you can pre-program something. And so you know that the team is going to work within the parameters of that programming. And then where it's also beneficial is you can share these, so you can own the creation of them, but then you can share them out with the team. And so those are the things that we have found to be the most useful to help speed up workflow, but then make sure that we're putting guardrails. So the team's like not doing anything, they're within the guardrails and the AI is contained. Because sometimes when you give people prompts, depending on how their chat has interacted with them, sometimes you'll get some funky outputs. So it's a way to like really define and figure out very strong outputs, and then again be able to have a team replicate it.
Kevin, you're muted.
Yes, I'm still learning my own workflow here with StreamYard. So anyway, it's about saving time and then also improving your PPC analysis and results. So that was awesome. Thank you so much. So John, I've got you up next. What is your best tip for everybody? And John, you made the same mistake I did, and you are also muted.
I literally, it's not going to have the same effect now if I say it because I just muted myself. I said, well, Noah gets to go last because he works at MAG, I guess. Is that what it is? Okay. Bring my screen up, Kevin.
Oh, hold on.
So demanding.
Not that screen. Bring my screen up.
There we
go. There we go. Get these other knuckleheads off. We'll keep them on. Whatever. I don't care. So what I'm talking about, well, now you can't see my screen. There we go. That's fine. That's fine.
All right. Sorry. We'll have to go with this.
So what I've been doing is just, I'm a big fan right now of the D2C looking A+ premium content. So I'm a fan of that one page look, and I've kind of just been collecting in Canva just examples of this because I think this is really compelling. And I think if you have access to do it, it's, you know, premium A+, all these wacky modules you could be putting in here, they don't resonate. But when someone's able to look at something and it looks like a one very clean, very Apple kind of page, I like that. So then I started thinking like, okay, well, if you like the bones of this, how could you replicate it? Well, you'd have to go to a graphic designer and then they'd have to go through all this other kind of stuff. But what if you wanted to get iteration 1.0 at least across the board, right? And that's where AI comes in as a really heavy hitting tool. And I'll go back to some other examples over here. So let's say Happy Nuts, right? And I actually called them out on LinkedIn because they did a really cool CTR kind of thing like this, which, you know, hey, risk reward, you want to do that, do it. But I was looking at this over here. And now let's say, for example, you like the bones and structure of this image and you want to replicate it. Well, how do you do it? Well, you could put this into AI and say a very deep prompt and do this, do that. And maybe it's right, maybe it's not. Or what you can do is what I've been doing is deconstructing images with what's called JSON code. So not like JSON Derulo, it's more like JSON. So what happens is I use every tool, right? So I'm going to show you in Gemini and then also in Claude, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this image into Gemini, and I'm not going to put on the Nano Banana model. I'm going to say, analyze this image and give me the detailed JSON code for the image, right? I'm going to save that prompt. I'm going to put it on thinking mode, which is the pro. I'm going to let that run. Then I'm going to come over here to Claude, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to go over here, drop this in here. And I'm going to show you why this is super important, because what it's going to do is I'm going to do two things. So I'm going to take the code that it's spitting out over here, and I'm going to use the JSON code to then prompt Nano Banana to make an image based off only the JSON code. So I'm not going to give Nano Banana any image context. It's only going to go based off of the JSON code. And there's a reason this is super important, because when you deconstruct an image into code, now you have granular level control over what is being generated. So typically, if it generates an image and then you're like, can you change odor neutralizing to be a couple of wavy lines and not 2 or 3, it may hallucinate. But now, if you notice, right, as we look at the JSON code, it says brand name, product name, it's going to say metric weight, primary benefits, ingredients. It's going to list everything out granularly and all this kind of stuff, right? So now let me just see how Claude pulled it out. Very, very similar, right? Like this. But if you notice, it says icon, text, features. So Claude is a little bit better for this. So you see how Claude pulled out the color palette. So it's actually giving it context of the hex code. So I'm going to go with the Claude one, right? So I'm going to copy this JSON code, and then I'm going to go back into a new window. I'm going to keep it on thinking model, and I'm going to put it on create images, which is Nano Banana. And I'm going to say generate an image based on the below JSON code. Okay. And we're going to let that run. So now what it's going to do is, remember, this is the image that we had here. By the way, I like this because this is using that D2C one page style, because if you were to pull the image out, this module cuts off right in the middle of the bottle. So it's technically two modules that are connecting over here. So that module and that module. but you would never know because it looks like a one-page D2C. So I think every brand that's running premium content should be doing this because this gives that complete D2C feel. So now you have this. So it didn't come out amazing, but you could see how I'm able to granularly change every single thing about it. So you could see it had no visual at all over this. Now, does it look exactly like this? No. But now if I was to take the same thing, let's say this bluey thing, and we were to do the same thing, now we can opt out different things. So then I can go back to this and I can say, great, move it to the middle, anything like that. Because with the JSON code, right, and I have some other examples of this too, because what I was doing is I was doing this for these D2C style modules, right? So I think I pulled I pulled a Bose one out before. So I'll show you guys that example, right? So here, JSON. Okay, cool. So this. Okay, perfect. So you see this one over here? This was the Bose. I gave this to Gemini from the code, from the JSON code. And if I go over here to Bose headphones, I think it was one of these. I don't know. Yeah, it was this one. Similar to this, right? So I pulled out the Bose, all the modules that were inside Bose, and then it generated this. So it replicated the Bose A+ content right here. So now from strictly the JSON code, no image that was given to it, I was able to basically replicate even, this is a long one, even all the way down to the Bose logo, right, is in here. Bose headphones, I never gave it any visual. It was complete code. So then from there, now that I've extracted the template of what I like about Bose, I then said, cool, we'll change the JSON code to Ninja and make it a can opener. So now it didn't do it in the proper order, but you see now it broke up everything into, instead of talking about headphones, now it's talking about a can opener right here. And that's strictly from code. There's no visual context that's being given to it. So now technically I have, a rough draft of what I can give a graphic designer to say, cool, make this, because this is exactly what I want. And I think that's the best way to be using visuals with JSON code, because you could see here, I think I did this again. Where did I do this one? So I don't know, I did a couple of them, but that's the important thing, right? Is now at scale, you can take any image or any template or anything you like, right? So I'll do one more really quickly. So here, so I'll go back to my swipe file. By the way, if you guys want, I'm sharing this publicly. If you want access to the swipe file, let me know. So let's say I like this one right here. I'm not going to break it up into individual modules. I'm just going to take the whole image, right? So I'm going to grab this right here. You go back to Claude, new chat. Okay. I'm going to say, analyze this image in detailed JSON code to replicate the image. Sometimes you have to play with the wording of what you're doing with the JSON code. You'll find the right one once you start using it. And then what this is going to do is going to spit out the JSON code. So then I'm going to have the complete structure and bones of what this image, which is A+, you'd have to break up into different modules. But you see, this is why I prefer Claude, and why Noah's a big Claude guy, is because Claude will go granular into the hex codes, and Gemini won't. But Claude doesn't generate images, but Gemini does. So with this, I'm able to then say, once I'm able to spit this out and replicate it, I can then go in here and fine tune my brand hex code colors, my brand name, all these sorts of things over here, right? So then you have granular control, because if you don't do it this way, you're going to be prompting back and forth, and then you're going to get the edit or the change that you want, but something else is going to go wacky, and then you get frustrated, and then you close it and you say you hate AI and you run away. Don't do that. With AI, you see Claude's Claude's also built for like strong coding too. So now that I have the JSON code here, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to not let you see my search history, because, who knows if I'm chatting about my recent rash. Just kidding, I don't have a rash. So generate an image from the below JSON code. right? Remember to turn on Nano Banana. Always do thinking. Everyone talks about Nano Banana Pro. If you don't put thinking on, it's not Nano Banana Pro. Just what I've heard, to what the kids on the street are saying. So paste my JSON code. Now remember, this was the image that we gave it, right? We had the logo, the bottle, the pills, this little alien guy, this lady waking up, this stuff, avatars, logos, add to cart now. By the way, Noah, are you allowed to say add to cart now? Anyway, so let's go back over here. Nano Banana Pro is going to run that. And then this is why due diligence with AI, spending the time to do this, getting it right, then you have the template and the structure to give a designer to finalize it and really not have to sit there and do your own mock-ups. So you can see very much like this, right? Again, the pills, this, the call outs. So it didn't do the stack correctly, but that's why if you're going to do this for A+, you would pull out the individual modules, individual images, and then that way it knows the hierarchy for them. So that's why that's super important. And I think I did one of these over here, but anyway, but you could see very clearly, I have the structure over here. Now I can go in the back end in the code and I could say, change the purple to green, change this guy to another thing, change the woman relaxing to a man running. And then you're able to take this and give it to a graphic designer and get your iteration, your thought process, all that sort of stuff out without having to go back and forth with a designer. Because if anyone does anything with creative and design, that is the biggest burn rate, is going back and forth with designers on, I meant this, you did this, I think you thought this, I really mean this. So anytime you see anything on the internet that's a visual, take it, get the JSON code, and then deconstruct it and work backwards.
Awesome. That's a very good tip, to use the JSON code, because that's not something people would normally think of. And it's crazy that you can just put the image into the AI and it gives you this JSON code, which JSON is usually you think about for like APIs, like data moving, between different systems. But here you're using it to create images, which is, how did you even come up with that?
Kevin's hours and hours neglecting my family and my health of just browsing Reddit and YouTube. No, but at the end of the day, it's like with AI, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? Mm-hmm. So you're leaving it up to the AI's interpretation of the image that you're giving it, versus you giving it the language that AI knows, the coding to understand. Because when you say 5 pixels to the right, 10 pixels to the left, that's how it understands how to move the pixels and move the graphics. It won't understand you contextually saying, move it to the left a little bit, because what's a little bit,
Gotcha. Well, we had some questions come in. We'll get to those questions here shortly, but we did have someone stated they wanted access to the file, which you said, well, does anybody want it? So we have at least one person who said yes. Oh, actually 2. So how would folks get a hold of that?
Yeah, Venmo, Cash App, anything's fine. It's just
okay.
No. So just email john@goasp.com and I'll send it over.
Okay, good deal. All right. So next up, Noah, tell us what you got.
I will. I'll present my screen, and I don't need to be a John Aspinall out here. I can just share it. So everyone at some point in time has probably seen this dashboard, which is essentially just sponsored ad reports. One thing that we have incorporated recently, and one of the biggest time sucks, especially for someone like myself. I mean, I've been, managing ad campaigns for a decade at this point, and I am not a detailed guy in the slightest. I actually kind of hate doing anything when it comes to looking at reports. I hate having to dig into the data. It is a pain for me, and it hurts me inside very deeply. And so one of the major things that I recently wanted to be able to do was get enough data out of an account very quickly with as minimal uplift as possible. And so what I actually end up getting down to with this is this idea of 4 specific reports of sponsored ads. First one just being your search term report, second being your targeting report, third being your placement, and then fourth being your search term impression share report. So essentially downloading these 4 reports, and then I actually end up getting a full prompt into Gemini. And so I have this full prompt that will also release this entire prompt at the end of it. But the synopsis of the prompt is that this can be utilized basically once every 30 days. The idea behind it is basically doing an entire analysis of your current campaigns, clustering together all of the different keywords you have, figuring out what is working, what isn't working in a very quick manner without having to do a lot of manual work. Now, if you're somebody who has, 5, 10, 15 campaigns, this probably isn't going to be really useful for you. But if you're somebody who has 50, 100 different campaigns, this is something that will speed along a lot of the different data analysis that you probably would have to do. So the purpose essentially behind this is to give you a couple of different aspects, right? So we're going to do a cluster report first and foremost. We're going to be looking at business rules. We're also going to be looking at potential areas to scale up some of our ACOS and bidding targets along search terms. We're going to look at fix or kill situations. That's essentially, in other words, just what do we need to just negate right now, or what can we potentially fix based on historical data. Now, the good part about this prompt as well is that it's built off of a 30-day, but I also have utilized this off of a longer period and time frame with the reporting than just 30 days. And it essentially gives a even more in-depth layer to let you get a more historical context as well. And so we'll send this out after, but the output that it essentially gives, and very similar to what John was talking about earlier, is use the Gemini thinking mode rather than just regular Gemini, because that will give you the pro for it to actually process all of this information. So first thing I always have it do is just a sanity check. This is more so a personal thing. Other people might not want this. But one thing is I will usually look at ad accounts very frequently. And, I know Elizabeth also does. And I'm sure that everyone has had a situation where they look at it and immediately go, this doesn't seem right. And so I built in essentially this idea of a sanity check around the data integrity to see if there's anything that we're missing specifically within the data, if there is any data quality issues, if there is anything that needs to be additional in here. The second aspect is clustering everything. So Amazon has portfolios, Amazon has campaigns, they have ad groups. But one of the things that many people who have ran ad accounts will realize after a long period of time is that you can have basically up to thousands of keywords. Hopefully you don't have thousands, but hundreds of different keywords and targets that you're going after. And sometimes they're across, 10, 20, 30, 40 different campaigns. And so I wanted to be able to essentially cluster. I'm actually going to zoom in here because I'm realizing nobody can probably even read this data. So I wanted to be able to essentially cluster that into specific search terms. So the idea behind that basically being, what is the data between an actual search term area? So for instance, at this very top, what are the competitor ASINs that we are actually targeting? So here are the top 5. As far as converting terms under this specific cluster, how much are we spending within this cluster, the sales, ACOS, and our overall ROAS? The idea here basically to see very quickly on an actual granular level what we're getting. Now, as we kind of go down through it, it shows every single type here, as you can see. So for instance, even down to just specific colors that we are doing. We can also export all of this into an actual Google Sheet as well, which allows us to essentially then making optimizations and upload it via a bulk file, which we can utilize. The second part of this is the scale up. So what we kind of talked about with certain areas. So for this one, the very top one, Ducky Doorstop Wall Protector, it's an exact match performance on it. ACOS 21%, ROAS 4.7 with a rank 1, but only 32% of the total share. So we can obviously see immediately we don't have as much share as we possibly could with a rank 1. So gives a specific action, and these actions are again built in specifically to the prompt based on a decision tree as well as to what we can be looking at for this. So in this case, it's looking at us potentially increasing bid upwards of 20% so that we can essentially have the entire share a little bit more. Now, a couple of things to note within this as well. Ways you can optimize as well from a prompt perspective is inputting as well what your overall tacos goal is, your ACOS goal, and then also what you're actually shooting for from a click-through rate and conversion rate, which those are some optimizations we do for a little bit more granular accounts, whereas other ones such as this, you'll see it can even have upwards of 30 and it's saying up to a 15% improvement because this account can take upwards of a 45% ACOS. So every account's going to be slightly different, so you'll have to optimize the prompt based on your total here. Finally, or I guess one other area, the fix or kill. So these are basically all of your bleeding targets. What are we spending way too much on? So immediately you can see here a problem spent. A cost 108%. The action fix here, they actually want us to fix it rather than kill. This will come into place based off of what our overall bid is on every single one of these search terms, as well as what we're actually looking at from a cost per click perspective. So if, for instance, we actually have up-down targeting versus down only for bid adjustments, we're going to potentially utilize this as a total fix. Now, the aspect behind utilizing this is that it gives you a full breakdown without having to go again through an entire bulk file and look at the bulk file. It's basically the modern day version of, every single person has their own essential just Excel sheet that they have utilized at some point in time that they put all their campaigns in, and it runs algorithms to say what they need to attack, what they don't need to attack. This is basically the modern day version of exactly that, just built into one specific prompt. We then have our placement and budget recommendations as well. So the idea behind this is that same thing, we're just going to get an updated version of what we need to look at from either a placement adjustment or a budget allocation. If we have any, they're running out of budget, it'll also tell us that immediately. So final thing that it actually produces here would be the 7-day action plan. So this 7-day action plan just gives actionable steps. One of the really great things about this is if you have somebody on your team who specifically handles your advertising, right? This can be utilized to immediately just get something like a task set up within their account, or it gives you these specific campaigns that you can actually go after to start targeting. Now, a grain of salt with all of these, obviously, just because Gemini itself is not an advertising expert, so to speak, but prompting, I think, is the very large aspect of what makes this particular. So the more granular, and earlier, as John actually said, and he is very frequent to say with a lot of this, in AI, garbage in, garbage out. And so the more granular and the more data you can give around your account within a prompting schedule like this, the better output you'll get overall. There is very little difference in this specific prompt between running this versus running into an Excel sheet and just getting the actual data. Outside of it, just gives a little bit more granular as far as specific decision tree making at the end of the day. So that's all I got. And you're muted again, Kevin.
Got him again.
Got busted again. No, I think that was great because rather than just, looking at numbers on a spreadsheet, this is giving you context and some of the why behind you should make some of the decisions in your decision tree. So,
wait, I missed one part.
I
missed one part. Hold on.
Go for it.
This one right here, it's just the summary. It's basically everything that discusses all of the major areas of fixings that you actually can export directly into Sheets. And the secondary aspect of this is that you can actually upload alongside this an Amazon bulk file. And when you go to export this to a sheet, it will take all of the information from Amazon bulk files and just auto input it. So you can just immediately upload all of the data. So
awesome. Wait. Can I give a bonus too? I have something else. Can I
go for it?
Go for it.
Oh, good. Golly.
This is an unplanned bonus, folks.
He didn't have his bonus ready.
Yeah.
Come on, add my screen.
All right, there we go.
That's not me.
Wait. No, I got to remove. No, it's screen. Now add your screen. Sorry.
This is something I told Noah about yesterday. So this, if you're a Claude user, there's actually a prompt on GitHub where you make a project called Claude Project Factory. And what this project does is this helps you build infinity amount of Claude projects, because and Noah and I were talking about this yesterday, the most frustrating thing about building projects or custom GPTs is giving it the detailed instructions and context, because you just want to get up and go. So what this will do, right? This will, and I'll pull up the example that we were doing. We were talking agency stuff. I want a project that
Can you zoom that in a little bit? Even with my reading glasses, it seems kind of small.
No, I can't zoom on Claude desktop. I can't.
Oh, you can't? Okay, never mind. Sorry.
No. I use desktop. I'm professional, sir. So, I want to create a project that creates 5 email sequences for outbound cold emailing for an Amazon agency. And then it asks some questions, and this is what I want to do, the sequence, what I want to do. And it asks you all like relevant questions about, it asks you the questions that you might not know that you need. And then it'll say, cool, here are your instructions for the Claude project, which are super lengthy instructions. Then all you're doing is creating a new project, adding the instructions in here that Claude already made for you. And you can see right over here, I did a one while we were just talking over here. I want to send emails to people that saw me on an AI webinar and get them to book me a call with me to learn how to use AI better for their business. And Noah and I were talking about this yesterday, sequences. Here's sequence 1, and it builds you the subject line, the preview, hey, so-and-so, and then email 2 to follow up to that email 1, and then email 3 to follow up with that email 2. And that's just sequence 1. Here's sequence 2, and all this other kind of stuff. And I've even done one for LinkedIn viral hooks, right? And basically you type in a topic and it's going to generate hooks for you that you then go further and say, I like this one. And then it's going to give you all the data. So if you ever find that you like Claude projects, or this probably even work for ChatGPT, custom GPTs, and you don't want to go through all those instructions, having something like a project or a GPT factory that's a GPT, or in this case, a Claude project, that you just type in high level of what your idea is, and it's going to go down through it. So I want a project that's going to write LinkedIn articles in the style of Justin Welsh. So it goes, let's start building the project instructions. What's the main purpose? And then it's going to question and answer back and forth until it gets enough context. And then it's going to spit out the super granular detailed instructions that you just plug and play into a project, and the output is bananas.
Nice. Now, is that also something they can get if they email you?
No. No, that's just something you could go and look up. No. So just look up. I found it on a guy on YouTube, because it's too much to just share something because you can't share it. But look up on YouTube, a really smart guy it's called Claude Project Factory.
Claude Project Factory. All right, good deal. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into some questions. Feel free to ask questions AI related on any of the topics that we discussed, or if you had anything else that you want the panel to give their opinion on. So I'm just going to go down the list. First one we have here is from Faisal. John, what is the most optimum package of Gemini Pro, AI Studio, or else to be able to be effective in getting things done?
I think I use Google Workspace, so it's integrated into that. But I think Pro is more than sufficient. I don't see any need to spend on the Google Ultra, because that's I think it's like $200 a month or $100 a month. And the only thing you're getting extra is more, I believe, video generation for VO 3.1. So if you're just doing images, I believe the rate limit is not even there, or it's very, very high for Pro for Gemini. So I don't think I think Pro is more than sufficient unless you're doing video. And if you are doing a crap ton of video, then you want to explore going with the Gemini API, because I think it's much cheaper.
Okay, good deal. All right, Raphael says, what's the best way to capture the A+ image you're referencing when creating JSON?
Yeah, so when you're looking at A+ images, they're all individual modules. So you just grab them and save them as individual modules, and then just upload them to extract out the JSON code.
Are you, just to ask a follow-up, are you making those like as, are you saving the images, or are you taking a screenshot?
So I use a Mac, and I know pretty much everyone on here is a PC user. I know firsthand, all of you people are PC users.
I'm proud of it.
Insulting. So there's an app called Dropover, which, Noah, did you ever find the equivalent in PC for that one? Where I grab an image, shake my mouse, and it pops up, and I store it in a shelf, and I can use it without saving it to my computer.
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah. Well, there's always Windows Shift S, which doesn't exactly work like that, but good enough.
Here, so just pull up my screen again. I'll show you this. So the way Dropover works is, let's say,
Shelf.
No, Drop Shelf is what it is for PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So I grab an image, I shake it, and a little window pops up over here. And that window I can just drag any image into. And then from this window, I can drag and drop them into a document, an LLM, an AI tool. This way, you don't have your download folder be insane. So I think if you use a Mac, drop over, or if PC, I think Noah said drop shelf.
Yeah, I just found it, and
That's the single greatest productivity tool that I've had in 2025, because I work with images all the time, and my downloads folder looked insane.
good deal. All right, next question from Casper Zaremba. Have you considered using other languages for the code like HTML or XML?
No, because AI understands JSON better, and I think there's more context and granular than HTML. I'm not a coding person, so I don't think HTML is going to give you that level of granularity, but I could be wrong. But JSON Derulo, I don't know.
Gotcha. JSON Derulo. John, when we want AI to change elements in JSON, swapping template with our custom products image, do we have to give all camera angles of our product image, or how?
So if you're wanting to use AI to be a final deliverable, which I do not recommend right now, everything I showed you was really giving it to an agency or a designer to get your iteration, and they can just polish it up. But if you're looking to do it as a final deliverable, you're taking it out element by element, or I'm sorry, module by module, not the whole one pager I saw, because that's going to be a nightmare. You're going to pull out each module, and then you're going to edit the coloring and the code in the JSON code. And then once you get the template, the way it looks really good with the alternate product, you're going to save that image. And then in a new prompt, you're going to put the buttoned up version that you have on your brand colors with your everything that's yours except for the image. And then you're going to open up a new window for Nano Banana, and you're going to give it the two images. And you're going to say, replace the image here with this image. And then that's going to swap it over for you. You can't do that in the code, though, because in JSON code, there's no visual reference.
Gotcha. So it's more the framework that it's using for how it looked and what.
So you're changing all the colors, all the styles, the fonts, the wording, even if it has the original product. And then once that's all buttoned up, saving two images and then swapping them.
Okay, good deal. This question from Heather: will there be replay access? Yes, we will send out later on today, limited time replay, which you can check this out. And then Faisal says, Noah, when analyzing 4 reports from one mega prompt, how can we make sure if the AI output is actually correct and not fancy AI outputs with a mix of correct and incorrect output data?
The biggest way that I kind of countered this, and it's actually why I use Gemini specifically, is that Gemini integrates really, really, really well into Google Sheets and actually is built off the ability of actually analyzing Google Sheets data. And so it's very specifically why I use Gemini versus something like Perplexity, because Perplexity is also really, really good usually at analyzing data. But with that, essentially, that's kind of the way to do it, is have it uploaded. So take all of those reports that I had mentioned, those 4 reports, upload them directly into Google Sheets, and then you can reference those Google Sheets directly to the prompting like I did. And that kind of solves the problem that you're kind of talking about.
All right, good deal. And Noah did share a link, everybody, to the drop shelf, so you can get the screenshots and have them on a shelf. It's like Elf on a shelf, but screenshots on a shelf.
No, is that free for PC?
Yeah.
I pay money for this.
You did. Another reason to go to PC.
Never.
Correct.
Never.
All right. Well, if anyone else has questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. We'll get to them. We do have another question, which we'll get to here in just a moment. But, it's a chat, post a comment, whatever you want to call it. Just ask the question. And if anyone's like, is it going to sound silly? No, this is something we're all trying to figure out together. So it's one of those things where the rising tide lifts all boats. So if you ask a question, I guarantee someone else will be like, wow, I'm glad they asked that question because I had it too, or I hadn't even thought of that. So not only are you helping yourself, but you're helping others when you ask a question. So we've had very good questions so far. Alfred says, how can we optimize Gemini prompts to generate more accurate and actual insights for PPC campaigns?
Sure,
anybody want to jump on that one?
I'll take this one.
Go for it.
So one, how can you optimize the prompts to generate more accurate and actionable insights? The biggest thing is, as we've kind of talked about, garbage in, garbage out, right? The more detailed your prompt is with data, with exactly what you are looking for, the better output you are going to get. Give as much detail as possible. And you'll see, I'll post alongside, I think, the webinar replay. I'll post, my thing, my prompting, you'll get John's stuff, whatever. And you'll kind of see how detailed it actually is as far as everything that is talked about, down to, exactly what it is you are looking for in those 4 specific sections. When it comes to Gemini prompts as well, as I just mentioned, utilizing Google Sheets over something like just uploading an Excel file or just a download file or a CSV is also really important, because again, it's Gemini. It's built off of Google. It's built to integrate with Google really, really well. You can use it directly with inside a sheet as well. So it's one of those that, yeah, Amazon still works off of Excel sheets in this day and age, which to me is kind of crazy that we can't use something like Google Sheets still. But if you just want to get as accurate as possible, just make sure you stay, 1, within Sheets, and 2, the more layered your prompt is, the better it will be.
All right, good deal. Elizabeth, this is a additional question I'm going to layer in. You were using, in your example, you were talking about using custom GPTs, if I understood correctly.
Yes, that is. So the reason why I had liked the custom GPTs was, maybe I have to play around with it with the Google thing, was I had found that the outputs, so Noah's is like strictly data analysis. It's like a very defined, and like all you're doing is analyzing the data. If you wanted to do an analysis and then say you wanted a more creative output, or you wanted it to get, say, a little bit more nuanced with its evaluation, I have found that custom GPTs can switch. It has to do with specifically the way that Gemini works, in that I'm trying to remember when I was going through it, because some things I've found very helpful when trying to understand a new AI is like, please help me understand your base, like what are your default settings, like what are your base assumptions that you have. And one of them is Gemini really likes to condense things, and it doesn't like multi-step processes. So if you have it do, say, hey, I need you to be an analysis, and then I need you to become sort of an expert strategist and be more creative, it will like break down, and the outputs are like garbage water. But to Noah's point of like, it's really great if you have the data set and it's one narrow defined thing. So because the things that's just how I like to use AI. I'm very fluid with how I work, and so I just prefer that one. I have found it to be very good if there's like a certain, an example would be, and this is a sidebar, but like we might create snippets of our lives, and we're using those to create like shorts or more short form video. I found ChatGPT sometimes doesn't get all the nuances, because there it's like, take this huge data set and be more analytical. And then I have found Gemini to be better when it comes to understanding the actual timestamps, where GPT kind of gets that a little bit weird. So if it's a really narrowly defined like data analysis, that can be helpful. If you want creativity involved, I would say ChatGPT. Or if you want like, say, multiple steps. Honestly, I freaking wish Claude was shareable, and I wish they did not have such like, I would legit pay probably way too much freaking money if Claude would allow for like longer chat windows. Like if I didn't run up against,
I would pay so much money.
I would pay so much money. Like that would be like, I don't know, to me, like it would be so good, but it's like you can't share it. And whenever the chat, like honestly, if all they did was like condense the context and allow me to bring that into a new chat and work again, like I would be like, I love Claude, but there's so many limitations with.
But that's how you know it's good, right? Because it is limited.
That's actually the most annoying part too, is the fact that like once you run out of space, you can't even get to like make a document for you that you throw into a new chat. It's like, oh no,
No,
you're just
or
new
you
chat
create an
entirely.
artifact and it's bussin', and you have about half of it done, and then you're like, all right, I want to like edit this, and it's like, nope, sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and
just-
to your point as well, Elizabeth, with what you were saying, one thing I would say on like the one that I had shown, right, is similar to kind of what you had talked about there. I specifically tried to like make that prompting into a gem, which is like Gemini's version of like
Mhm.
projects in ChatGPT, and it doesn't work as well. Like that specific, the reason it is a prompt and not a gem is because I found that after about 2 or 3 iterations, it starts to like get messed up, because exactly as you say, it wants to like just get as concise as possible, and it starts mixing the data sets together. And so I would agree in that sense that like ChatGPT just is more creative, and that's kind of why I also prefaced my thing where I was like, I hate having to read a lot of data. I like Gemini because it just breaks it down. Here is exactly the data that you need. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think if you can find how to work with each individual thing. So like with Gemini, like I went and created a couple gems for my editors, and it's like, okay, we have to do like one individual product, and then we have to start a new chat with this gem, because if we try and do like 3 different iterations of this project in here, it's gonna break. We just know that. That's how it works. Or it's like, okay, so you actually are like ChatGPT and Claude can understand how you've sort of changed the product or the project over time. So it seems like they place more emphasis on like your most recent prompting, and they can almost switch modes within the chat. But Gemini, it will default and keep using, even though you've told it to stop using the old logic that you were talking about. And you're like, oh wait, that doesn't work. Okay, no, let's do it this way instead. It will like latch on to the old one, even if you tell it not to. It's, again, I think it's the way my brain works, because I'm very fluid and I switch things all the time, but it drives me crazy.
Yeah, it can't get stuck in what was happening in the past.
I'm just sharing my screen again. Sorry.
Oh, you want to share your screen? Okay, we would love to share your screen.
This is why Google is still the killer, because even though in Gemini you can't do this, there's Notebook LM, which is a Google tool. So Liz, you can literally make a notebook over here, name it whatever you want. And I just went over here, and you can put up to 50 sources, and you can actually use YouTube. So I went on the Jungler channel and I pulled up a couple of your shorts, and I can add all the shorts in here, and then I can query against your actual videos. So technically you can take, you know, all your long form videos and all your short form videos and put them into different notebooks. And then your team or anyone has, like, I could take all your videos and break them up into different books in Notebook LM for sponsored product ads and DSP and brand sponsored brand ads. And I could literally have query against all the context that you gave directly against that. So none of this stuff is hallucinating. The only data that it's getting is from the sources you gave it right here. So that's why Notebook LM is actually insane. And then over here, you can go and you could say, cool, out of these, you know, 5 Jungler shorts, I want you to build me a mind map on everything that is being talked about. So then it's like, okay, you talk about algorithms, and then what is this over here? You're talking about in-house tools. And then from here, it breaks out to, you know, develop this. And it's Google is supremely overpowered right now, because the fact that you can do this, if you ever want to have knowledge about something, like if I didn't know how to do coding, I could just go and get the top 50 videos on YouTube about coding, put it all in here and say exactly how do we do this, this, this. Or if you're in sales and Alex Harmozy is talking about a new way to do stuff and you don't want to watch an hour-long video and there's like 20 of them, put them in here and then say, how do I do this? And it's going to query all against your sources over here, which is insane. And I believe these are shareable. Yep, you can share these with people externally. So you would have a shareable knowledge source, which is insane.
And what was the name of this tool again, John?
So it's Notebook LM. It's another Google AI tool in the Google ecosystem. I think, Noah, you're using Notebook LM for anything or no?
Yeah, I use it fairly often. We use it for our entire like social side as well for content generation.
Yeah, like literally Notebook LM became famous because you can put, you know, text documents in there, 20, 30, 40, 50 of them and do an audio overview. And it's literally two people having a podcast talking about your data.
It's bizarre. So I'll tell you one of my most favorite things, because I like the way I like the way ChatGPT is really good at asking you questions. So, and you can voice chat on ChatGPT is the best.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have found to be a really helpful workflow is if you have, like, let's say you have really deep knowledge on something personally and you're trying to share it, and it can be very difficult to, like, your assumption oftentimes when you're sharing things is that somebody else has context and in fact they don't. So you can prompt ChatGPT to basically be like, hey, I want to have a conversation on this. I need you to ask questions, have a conversation with the thing, copy and paste that conversation into Notebook MLM, and it will come out with some banger stuff, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, all good tips here. All right, so next up, Lo says, apart from getting JSON code to analyze and create an image, what's another good purpose to use JSON code for?
I don't know. I know, like, if you do like Zapier or N8N, JSON code's inside there. So if you're doing a lot with automations, there's JSON code in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. That's all. Listen, my depth of knowledge. I'm going to quote the almighty leader and founder of MAG, Stephen Pope. I go inch wide, mile deep, folks. So I am not. I'm sure there's a lot more you could do with JSON code. But if you really want to know, just email the expert, noah@myamazonguy.com. He's be happy to walk you through, book a call with him.
So, yeah. And another thing is you could always just go to ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever, and say, hey, I'm an Amazon seller. What can I use JSON code for? Please give me 10 examples, and it will.
Yeah, that's an even better answer.
Yeah.
Don't ask
when
me.
In doubt, just ask
AI.
the AI. Yeah.
Go ask Grok.
There you go. Ask Grok. We haven't brought up Grok yet. All right. Tal S says, is it possible to get my Amazon seller account data via API calls and connect it to an LLM? Why?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Not to an LLM.
Well, you have to. This is a much more in-depth process.
Yeah, you'd have to build your own connector to it.
You have to have a connector. You have to have a database. I will say one thing that we found really sweet is we are ingesting ads data. We do have it hooked up to potential MLM for queries, and we're also ingesting all of our client emails, conversations in I think it's called a vector database, and allowing us to combine different data sets for better understanding of what's going on in the account from the brand perspective. So there's some cool stuff you can do.
You could do it. You just got to build something.
And I didn't do it. I have a developer. So the extent of my knowledge is like, oh, heck, that's really sweet. I didn't know you could do that.
A couple of Amazon experts on a podcast start getting asked questions about JSON and coding and development of apps and what we can do with it.
When in doubt, ask Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT. How do I do this?
Claude is the best when it comes if you're looking to vibe code something.
I will say when it comes to things like that, I would want to know what I'm doing. Like the person who's doing it for us, like you're talking, like there are certain times where like Amazon has sent us hey, you've gotten too many errors. You need to create a connection because your program is querying too much and throwing back errors and it's causing us issues. Like if I'm just vibe coding, I got the email, forwarded it to Daniel. I'm like, hey, and he's like, all right, well, I'll take care of it. Right. So like if you're like vibe coding is awesome for like specific projects, when it comes to like data security and understanding what's going on and making sure that like your data is encrypted and it's not being put somewhere, or like I would want to do it correctly. Like if you're hooked up to a company that is as large as Amazon that is not going to like you doing certain things, and you may just be out there vibing and not know you're doing it. I don't think that's something I would vibe code.
Well, I think that's also the reason why I still have ChatGPT, because I'm not chewing up my Claude limitations and rate limits with basic questions. So if I have just like a simple question of like, what's the best way to do this, or how do I do this, or something simple, I won't go to Claude because I don't want it to be rate limited when I actually need to use Claude. So that's kind of why I still have ChatGPT.
All right, good tip. Since you've shared your experience with Claude, back to Claude. I'm curious, have you also tried using Black Box AI for similar tasks? If so, how does it compare in terms of ease of use and output quality? If not, do you think it could be a viable alternative for the same workflow?
That sounds like one of those third-party things where you can access LLMs through another tool. And I typically don't dabble in those. I mean, that's the same kind of question of, do you use Manus or do you use GenSpark? And people use those. I'm not a fan of them. I just like to use the tool itself.
Gonna raise my hand here because
go for it.
John, the AI guy, is wrong for once.
No, I'm not.
I don't use Black Box for much of like anything. I know the Black Box is like a super powerful for like development, engineering, coding, things like that. I don't see a huge use case in the idea of like anything outside of that in the Amazon space. It's also really expensive from what I know to actually utilize. And that's why, but it's like, if you work at like Meta, you're using Black Box more than likely. Right. And so, if you're somebody who's really into that, and as we kind of talked about the vibe coding and you kind of know what you're doing, Black Box probably makes sense. But if you don't know what you're doing, then, and you're just trying to get like a very simplistic project done, as, Elizabeth said, probably Claude is going to be good. Replit is another really good one for, that kind of stuff. But I don't think you need to do like Black Box or anything like that.
$15 a month for 40,000 credits of Anthropic, Sonnet, OpenAI. I already have that stuff. No, thank you.
Well, these things are like streaming services. They sound like, oh, it's $15, $20 a month, but then they start to add up. So, All right. Next up, Anthony P says, this is recorded today, correct? Yes. And we will send it out to everybody who registered. We just have to render it to our platform that hosts the videos. And that just takes a little while. Luca T says, from January, you need to pay $1,200 USD for the API, I guess referring to Amazon's API.
I heard that on a call today too. Yeah.
Yeah, they updated the cost just this year and everything. So Amazon released basically new costing for all of their SP API data. You have to pay for every single year. So I believe it's now $1,200. And then if you go over a certain number of data polls, it's a like cent factor per poll essentially. So if you're, it's one of the things as well to think about if you're in the Amazon space, and this is not AI related, but if you're using literally any software whatsoever that is a connector into your Amazon account to pull data, something like as simple as Seller Board, even coming into the new year, you're probably going to get a price increase of some kind. So it's one of the things that Amazon has been very kind to software providers for years in how cheap it was.
I was trying to remember, is that, and I really should look it up because it will affect us if that's not the case. But and our data pools obviously are not as large as, like an actual software provider. But from my understanding, it depends. I believe it depends. Like if you are if you're pulling your own data, I don't.
Yeah, so there's two different data sets on Amazon. So there is like your own developer portal that you can go into, and you can pull your own data for free at any point in time on an individual account level. And then that might be what a lot of software is trying to use as a workaround. But then the secondary is if you are an actual developer partner through like SPP, and that's what they're going to start charging through.
Yep.
Gotcha. So for the individuals, they shouldn't have to worry about this then.
Yeah, usually not.
Okay. That's good to know. All right. Laura McGovey says, how safe is it to share ad reports or sales or business reports with Gemini or ChatGPT? Experts recommend against sharing this kind of data.
Experts.
Well, here's the
5
thing.
and 7.
Well, okay, you share your ad report data and your business report data on Amazon. What are they going to do? They're going to know how to. It's not like you're sharing your social, your medical history, your bank information. Like this is numbers and data related to that. So the concern is like, oh, what if it gets leaked? And then someone now knows how much money you're spending on app. Like, to me, I just don't understand how risky that is. Like,
I get the fear of like the competition, right? And like people, because like ad data is one of the only like singular things that you can't really get of your competitors, right? Outside of like what they're actually targeting, but you don't understand like bid adjustments, you understand their bids, you understand structure, right? So I understand that aspect of it, but I think the larger thing here is that a lot of what I hear from like people saying don't share this kind of information with LLMs more comes from this aspect of like Amazon themselves is limiting what access all these AIs have. I don't think that that has any bearing whatsoever on this aspect of like it's not safe to share it into your Gemini or into your ChatGPT. That is Amazon themselves just wanting to hoard as much data as possible for their own AI usage, right? And so I see next to zero issue with it at the end of the day, especially if you don't have any product linkage. I mean, if you're just uploading, random data and everything, maybe it helps train the LLM, but the likelihood of this being like a security risk for you is, in my opinion, super minimal, right? Don't upload your social security number, as John said.
Well, the thing is too, it's like it's secure to the extent of the only people that would have that data potentially would be OpenAI if you're using ChatGPT, unless the concern is you're using a custom GPT that a third party made, and then you're putting your data through that. And if they're capturing it along the way, which is highly unlikely. So I think the only concern is like Noah said, is the model getting trained on the data. Mm-hmm. And then what is that going to do for you on the granular level? But then also, is OpenAI going to turn around and be like, screw the AI game, I'm going to start selling can openers. This guy's crushing it. Like, I don't think so.
Yeah. And I think it's also like, what are you comfortable with? Because a lot of these maybe more stringent guidelines or people saying don't do that, a lot of times come from maybe larger companies. Like there's larger companies who work with Amazon who Amazon would love to use their data to train MLMs. And they're like, look, we're not comfortable with this. Like, don't even, and their data is still contained within Amazon, but they're like, no, we're seeing this as proprietary, and that's more of an enterprise. And like, look, I get it, from that perspective, but when you are a first party, like when you're a 3P seller or private label seller, I would say, is the benefit you're getting from using it better than just saying, like John said, if I cannot imagine the uproar if OpenAI ever had a data breach. Like people will come down on them, like they can't afford for that to happen. It's the same as you storing, well, think about this. Do you store your data inside of a Dropbox? Do you store your data inside of Google folders and share it with the team? Like that has, I would say, even more potential data risk than it would be to upload it. So like, is there a potential? Yes, absolutely, as with anything. But I would say like, is the risk reward there? And I would say for most sellers, the answer is like, yeah, absolutely, because the risk is so minimal.
The other thing to note too is if you have Google Workspace and you're running Gemini, it doesn't train the AI based on what you put into it. So that's the other thing. If you're using Google Workspace, it doesn't train the AI.
And that's the paid Google plan for folks that aren't familiar.
Yeah, like paid for like a business. I don't know if the paid individual also doesn't train it on it. I believe it probably would, but I know for a fact if you have a Google Workspace for a business account, they make it clear that we don't train the LLM on your information.
Very good. Yoav says, do you have listings that are 100% of it designed by AI? If you do, I'd love to see an example. And what tools have you been using for the best images and also for the best prompts?
No.
I bet you we could find one, but it wouldn't be
I've seen some. Oh, actually, you know what? I can do this real quick because I just saw one the other day.
While you're pulling that up, AI is not a replacement for a graphic designer, for a creative director, for a design agency. AI is getting you 70% of the way there to enable your team for more output and less time bogged down on basic remedial stuff. I want to make sure it's very, very clear, because yes, AI can do all these great fancy things, but if you don't have someone behind it that's doing proper merchandising and proper placement, AI does not know that just yet, does not know sales merchandising, creative merchandising. It can copy other people's, but again, you still need people. Human in the loop is what they call it.
Okay.
Very good point.
I got one. I
All
got
right,
one.
let's see it.
Hold on, I'm pulling up.
It's that slow PC, huh?
Dude, I need to do a restart. I have too many tabs open right now. I have like 8 different Chrome browsers. I have Comet open right now too. My PC is putting in work.
I've abandoned Comet.
So while you're doing that, Noah, people have asked, what is the method that they could get the prompt for PPC reports for Gemini that you showed?
Email Steven at myamazonguy.com asking for the
No,
prompt.
he's being silly.
shoot a email over to podcast@myamazonguy.com and we'll get it over to you to use. We'll also maybe throw it in the thing. But all right, I gotta reshare my screen now. This one. All right, so I was looking for ugly Christmas sweaters the other day. And I came across this listing.
That's not ugly though. That's awesome.
It would be quite awesome if it was real in any way, shape, or form. But like couple like immediate things. The fact that like there's no way that this is real, right? The fact that it's just a generic brand. The listing's been up for like a month and a half, right? You can see that if you like look at the bullet points, it's very like typical EM dash like AI bullet points and everything. This is fully like just AI. More just very obvious AI. So yeah, if you
wait, go back up to the hero image.
To the hero.
Yeah. Is that Abe Chamali? That's Abe. That's Abe.
That's funny.
Another friend of ours.
Also, if you look, like there's just, it's just like so like it's trying to make it seem like all these are 3D, but they're also not at the same time. And then like, I don't know, they have a ton of different variations. So I'll throw this in the chat.
Well, and like look at the reviews. I'll bet you
the review. Well, so I was looking at the reviews and I was like, not a sweater, 2 sizes down, beware. Like it's not a sweater, it's a bit thicker, but still a shirt. Because I'm sure what it is they basically just create like these 3D images and then they're just screen printing on shirts or something, right? Like it's not actually 3D. Don't bother buying. You need to add 2 sizes to whatever you wear, right? So yeah, this is what a fully AI listing looks like at the end of the day.
And product.
Yeah, and product for that matter. Couple other.
Send me that ASIN after this. I want to see.
Some of them have way too much 3D texture.
Yeah. Well, like for instance, if you look at this one, it literally looks like his hand is like coming off the. Like
with the bell in front of it.
Now this one I could believe, right? This looks like it's just like printed on there, right? But like that cigar does not look printed in the slightest. Neither do those sunglasses. It looks like you're actually gonna have him, up there. So I thought this was kind of funny when I saw it the other day, and I'm like, this is very obviously it's a cash grab from, some company or somebody. So
China Direct is what you meant to say. I just want to clear that up.
Yeah.
You're buying it from Temu. All right. Well, good stuff. So if anyone has any last minute questions, we'll do our best to get to those. But real quick, I know folks were asking for ways that they could get in touch with our experts here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So Elizabeth, if folks want to learn more from you, where could they go?
I would say definitely I put out the most content on LinkedIn. If you have any Amazon ad questions, you want to know more about that stuff, I would definitely join our lives every Thursday. I did one right before this, so it's been back-to-back lives for me today, at 12 p.m. EST across all socials. So you can find it on YouTube, LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, John, if folks want to get a hold of you, I know they can email you.
Yeah, email. I'm on LinkedIn too. I just got started. I got a couple hundred followers, so feel
With
free
a
to
couple
go
zeros behind it.
go follow me there. And I try to put out as much value first with tips, tricks, and all that kind of fun stuff.
All right. Well, good deal. And if folks want to get a little bit of strategy, they can go to myamazonguy.com/call. And what would that look like for them, Noah?
You can book a call with one of my team of experts here and talk to them about some of the things that we talked about today. And you might actually even get a call with me because I'm taking some of these, and I tend to also just pop into calls all the time. And so if you ever have thought about just wanting to hop on a call with me, now is the time, I suppose.
Yeah, he does that. And Noah oftentimes will be like, hey, I'm in the middle of a call right now. So he does take calls. He's not just saying that. So, all right. So this will be last call for questions. So any other last minute tips that you guys have for folks on using this new AI world, which is still kind of crazy, even though we're a few years into it?
Don't believe any information that comes out about Rufus. It sucks.
Yeah.
No, you know what? In the clothing category, it's not half bad. I say that as a consumer.
Okay, fair.
I say that as a consumer. My daughter had a very, gosh, they're too much like me. She had a very particular idea of what she wanted, and it was a pain in the butt to find it because everything that's always bestsellers, and she's like, no, I want it this length and that, and so Rufus actually was able to help us find what we wanted.
Elizabeth,
And I will quote Stephen Pope again. The best tool is the one that you use. And ever since I worked at MAG years ago, that still resonates with me. And that's why Rufus may be good for people, but they're not using it enough, right? They have to
Hey, no, Amazon says there are over 300 million monthly users, and they wouldn't lie about that, would they?
Well, if they
No
consider
exaggeration.
if they consider a user someone that sees something pop up in their screen and they click on it once and then go away, I guess that's using it. Sure, I guess that's the case.
Definitions are important.
Very, very true. So another question for the panel. Would you guys say that there's a lot of hype around Rufus? Is that overhype, or is that something people should spend time on?
Depends on what you're wanting to do. I think they're definitely within like the space is a lot overhype around it. And that's primarily just because AI is a big hype right now and it's Amazon's AI. And so there's a lot of thoughts like this year, especially I've seen so many people put on like webinars and things like that, talking about like Rufus and then also talking about Cosmo, which is like Amazon's AI algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
But like a big thing with like Cosmo, for instance, is the fact that they've only rolled it out in test batches to less than 10% of the entire market. So it's like you can't even optimize for this stuff, really. I mean, you can for Rufus. They just had like AI prompts, right, for sponsored products, which we're testing out and up in the air on so far, right? It's one of those that it's going to change eventually. You might as well get on the bandwagon, but I do think people are way overhyping the importance of it in this particular moment.
Yes,
like
I would say to piggyback and add a little bit of texture to what Noah was saying, I would say 100%. Don't step over the fundamentals to get to the shiny object. I think that's what I'm seeing with Rufus. Like people are like, oh, my list, like do a listing optimization once, you're not done. Unless your conversion rate improved, unless your click-through rate improved, unless what you needed to happen, like test, iterate. People aren't even using like A/B testing for listings. It's like one and done listing is optimized. Like, right? Like there's so many, or I have so many brands coming to be like, we want to use AMC. I'm like, you guys aren't even running sponsored brand ads. Like, let's do the fundamentals first. So I think if you're somebody who has the fundamentals, I would say right now, AI, if you have expertise in an area, you can build tools, you can build custom GPTs, you can build gems, you can build prompts. That will allow you to, in some ways, it's not going to be great, but you can disseminate a lot of your head knowledge to somebody and get it pretty good and maybe have a check in there. Like there's a lot of things that AI enablement I think will allow. And I think one of the best use cases I've seen in tools that are coming out. There's some tools that I'm using. It's like there was somebody who had deep levels of expert knowledge on something, started using AI to achieve the result, built a tool around that, and the tool is freaking phenomenal. But because it was developed around a very specific goal and a very deep level of expertise. And I think that's where AI is going to start to just like help people to ramp up things. But like, again, you need the fundamentals. Like your prompts have like very little impressions right now, if at all. Like videos are amazing, like sponsored product videos coming out, fantastic. If you don't even have a sponsor brands video ad up, like, or you haven't even tested to see what works in sponsor brands video, like that one has way more advertising inventory than a sponsor products video ad. So like, if you run around chase the shiny object and step over all the fundamentals, like you're going to be playing hard catch up to the people who, like, if all you did was just like optimize listings and were crushing it at basic ads, and then you add in those things, like amazing, you're going to be next level. But if you've been like cobbling along forever and then you're like, oh, I want to like go mess around and optimize for Rufus, like yeah,
it's not there yet. Shouldn't be the main focus. All right. Well, the question I have for the audience is, how did we do? Was this helpful? Was this just hype, or did we give you actionable things that you can do and start taking action on like as soon as this is over? And so we will send out the replay here later on this afternoon / early evening. It shouldn't take too long to render this video. So once the video is rendered, we'll upload it and have it available for you guys to check out. Alfred Sienna says, thank you guys for sharing your valuable insights about AI. Yes, this was our pleasure. So with that, thank you to our expert panel. And again, we got more folks starting to comment here. One of my faves. Thanks, everybody. So yeah, glad this was.
Which one of us was your fave? You have to pick a no, I'm just kidding.
I think it says in small text, you can't see it. Noah and Elizabeth were amazing.
This whole thing is rigged.
Maxim says, great. Barry's says, thanks for today. Yeah, it was our pleasure. And so with that, thank you, everybody. And thank you to our guests for joining us. Take care.
Hey, everybody.